All right, good morning, everybody. This is Email Marketing for Small and Large Businesses. It's a 1 hour webinar hosted by RTO9 and myself. We're going to go through a bunch of stuff today related to email marketing, and we're going to focus a heavy amount on a demo of a product that we use for all of our email marketing internally for Bento. A lot of businesses use this tool as well. It's free to use. It's called MailChimp. You've probably heard about it before as well. Just to get started, for those who don't know me, my name is Max Sadlowski. I'm the CEO of BentoSMB Inc. I am a lover of all things technical. I champion small, medium businesses whenever I can, and I try to focus on being an online marketer extraordinaire. We've done 2 webinars previous to this, focusing on content marketing, as well as on YouTube and Instagram. And I think a lot of the people that are on the webinar right now have also been on that webinar. So that's great to see you guys come back for this webinar. In terms of a bit of an introduction, what we're going to do today, we're going to talk over the next hour about the basics of email marketing, how to grow your email list. We're going to look at a demo of MailChimp to showcase, as well as look at the automation features, which is, I think, a lot of times something that people don't realize is part of MailChimp or don't know how to even begin to use. So we're going to start looking at that today so that you have a really good understanding of it walking away from the webinar today. So in terms of agenda, we're going to talk about what is email marketing, understanding the marketing funnel and email marketing's role in that funnel. We're going to talk about how to grow your email list, how to do and create effective campaigns. We're going to talk about how to use automation and reporting for emails, and then we're going to do the MailChimp demonstration. Just give me a second here, folks. There's some people that aren't able to hear the audio, so I'm just going to double check that everything's working on my end here. Lindsay, are you able to hear me now? It's registering, Lindsay, on my side that everything is coming through properly. And a bunch of people are letting me know that they can hear. So it might be speakers or something on your end that you're not able to hear. Okay, so whoever typed in asking if they weren't able to hear the audio, it looks like you might be logged in under the same account as Lindsay, so that may be causing some problems. So you may want to close the webinar and come back into it under your own account. That may help with solving that audio problem. So in terms of the next hour, we're going to focus a lot of that time on the MailChimp demonstration as well. So I do want to get through kind of the first slides that I have, some of the important pieces that build up to that, and then we're going to apply a lot of that into a demonstration of MailChimp. And then at the end, of course, we'll have a time for a question and answer period as well. In terms of housekeeping, we have a few things with this webinar. So webinar is being recorded. So if you are looking to look at back on anything that we talked about today, it will be recorded. It will be available at the same link that you clicked to get into this webinar, as well as it'll be distributed by RTO9. There is a file upload of all of the pieces that we're talking about today. All of the slides are under the handouts tab, so you can download that. If you are watching this as a recording, you're not going to be able to see that handouts tab. Just get in touch with your RTO9 and they'll make sure to get that PDF to you. If you have any questions, make sure to add them into the Q&A area. You can do that at any time. I'm not going to talk to them to those points until the end of the webinar, but feel free to throw them in as they come up. And then I also have some polls that I'm going to be releasing throughout the entire webinar. Those will show up under the 3rd tab on the right-hand side under poll. There's one already open right now. So how much email marketing do you currently do? And as we go through, I have a few different questions and things like that for people to answer. So I like to start off a lot of these webinars with quotes. So this is a really kind of funny one that I enjoyed. If social media is the cocktail party, then email marketing is the meetup for coffee, the original one-to-one channel. And I think that's where a lot of people don't realize that email marketing is a one-to-one channel. It can be a very much a many-to-one channel, but in the end, you want it to feel as a user, as somebody that's receiving those emails, that it is a one-to-one channel. So that's going to be kind of a theme of the rest of the webinar today. So what is email marketing? Any business can really benefit from email marketing, but generally the definition is using email communication to promote your product or your service. In today's world, though, it really is more than that. It's more than just sending out an email now and again. It's using automation, it's using reporting, it's using connections to determine what a actual person wants to receive on that end in terms of email. Businesses that embrace email marketing and see results use it consistently. They look at creating targeted, quality, and personalized content for each individual person. And that isn't just adding their name at the top of the email. They're also including email marketing as part of all the other pieces of marketing that they do and including it in their broader marketing strategy. I've said this before in probably both the other webinars we've done so far. I'll say it again in this one. Connecting all of your marketing efforts together is just as important as utilizing any individual tactic. So saying I'm going to use just Facebook ads or I'm just going to use email marketing is not enough. You want to combine all those together and really make sure that they're working together to push people through your marketing efforts. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk about a marketing funnel or a sales funnel and how email plays a part in that. A general sales funnel is kind of set up this way with three beginning areas. So general awareness, prospecting, and converting. You'll see this in a lot of different places, and sometimes it's a little bit more complex. Sometimes there's more than just three areas, but oftentimes this is the basic beginning step for most businesses in terms of a sales funnel. General awareness is the top piece of that funnel, and that's where there's a lot of people that are going to potentially come into your funnel. You're trying to get people into the funnel at this point, trying to get them to understand what you do and who you are, and just generally have an awareness of your brand or your product and your services. So this is a great place for social media, general advertising on Facebook and Google AdWords, guerrilla marketing, in-store tactics, all sorts of things like that to get people into that funnel. Number two is prospecting. So learning more about who they are and delivering tailored content to invite them to learn more about your products and how they could relate to your products and services. This is where email advertising or email marketing really plays a very good role in getting people through that funnel and getting them from that general awareness into that prospecting stage and even pushing them into the conversion stage. On top of that, advertising is a really great way of doing that as well and getting people back into that funnel. The last one is converting. So obviously, as you move down the funnel, you want people to start to get closer to buying a product. So this is where you're trying to get people to purchase something or purchase a service or download something, whatever it is that you're trying to convert people on. So advertisements on Facebook and social media and other areas do work here, but email marketing has been shown to work very, very well in this area. So being able to convert people based on just emails is a really strong piece of any marketer's toolbox right now. So let's talk about a few things related to email marketing. So a lot of people ask us, how do I grow my list? How do I get people signed up for my email list? So we have 5 kind of ideas there. There's lots of other ones that you can use, but in reality, it really just boils down to people giving you your email address. So having a sign up form on your footer of your site or adding it to the sidebar of your blog page is really helpful. Using pop-up offers such as a little pop-up box that shows up on your website that gives somebody a 10% off their first purchase, things like that, first supplying their email address. I'm sure you've seen some of those before. Having specific landing page offers. So maybe you have a digital product that you want to distribute and you'll distribute it for free as long as people give you their email address. That's another way that people sign those people up to their mailing list. Collecting emails at events. So if you're at a farmer's market or at a craft show or at a conference, you can sign people up and ask people to provide their email address. Sometimes providing a discount can help as well on the spot. And then the last one is just storefront, generally asking people to sign up when they're checking out. If you have a storefront, having them go through that process right there. You already know that they're interested in your products because they're already in your store or already at your business. So that can be super helpful as well. So I have a little chart on the right-hand side there as a kind of an example. So a user signs up on your website for your mailing list and they've approved the subscription. You can then send out an automated email with a PDF or a download link in that so that the user receives the content that they're looking for, and then you can continue that conversation moving forward after that process. So that's just a really quick example of how you can use a tool like MailChimp to automate some of that so that things can be done for you automatically. So let's look at 3 examples of how you could use some of these tactics. Example 1 is in your store, you'd ask people to join a promotional email list. You grab their email and enter them into your marketing system. You can either do that by writing it down on a piece of paper and entering it later in the day, or doing it directly on a computer that's at your front counter. Make sure as you do that, though, that you're tagging them as already being in your store, or increase their star rating within your system, or whatever you need to do to make sure you know that they were entered into the mailing list because they were in your store. And it's really important to segment your users. We're going to talk more about that as we go into the demo. Example number 2 is at a craft fair. We're going to offer 10% off if you sign up for the mailing list on the spot. You can have them completed on their phone so you can track the specific event they signed up from right away, as well as enable a drip campaign or a email campaign that will start to give them information based on the fact that they joined at that particular craft fair. Example number 3 is a user goes to your website and you're running a promotional contest. So to be entered, they simply have to give their email address. Again, you want to track what that contest was for so you know that there's an interest in that particular topic. So if you're running a contest to give away a spa package, they enter their email address, great. There's only going to be one winner for that spa package, but you may be able to set up a system that offers them 20% off their next time they come into the spa. That will help to lead to conversions because you know they're already interested in that topic. Another question that we get a lot about is CASL compliance. A lot of people have heard of CASL and they don't necessarily know what it is. I'm going to kind of speak to it very briefly so that we just have a general understanding of what it is. So in 2015, the Canadian government started to implement a piece of legislation called the Canadian Anti-Spam Legislation, what's been referred to as CASL. Over the first 2 years, they were handing out fines every once in a while. I think they only handed out like 5 or 6 of them, not a lot. And it's basically so that anybody that misuses emails for marketing purposes can be fined. After that 2-year period, they switched to being able to have people sue one another for any issues with a misuse of marketing. What they found immediately is that there was a lot of really small issues. So they made it so that you had to have a class action lawsuit to actually sue one business for this issue. You want to keep this in mind as you apply this to your marketing tools and your marketing campaigns. Keep in mind as well, it only applies to Canadian businesses. So generally, as a law, it really hasn't done a lot to deter spam. For Canadian consumers. We still get lots of spam from the US and other countries. So it hasn't done a whole lot in terms of deterring spam. To keep yourself in compliance with this, the question you need to ask yourself is, can I prove to somebody that I have the right information or I have the permission of that user to distribute emails to them? And MailChimp, as I've said before, does this really well for you. So what happens in MailChimp is the user signs up online and MailChimp sends a branded confirmation email to them that says, please confirm that you want to be part of this subscription. And when they confirm, that's when they get added to your list. What that does, it means that anybody can't just give you whatever email address they want and say, sign me up for the list. It actually requires the person that owns that email to sign in, click on OK, and be joined to the list. So that's a really great way of just making sure that every email that's added to your system is confirmed properly. And you can set that up so that it works the same way if you were to add the email or if somebody else was to add the email, it'll automatically send that compliance email and make sure that it's working for you. So with that said, I'm going to release another poll over here. And I'm going to just wait for people to answer that, but I'll also talk to this point as well. So how to write a good email. These are really 3 great steps. I think it's kind of a funny quote. Write your email. Number 2 is delete most of it. And then number 3 is send. So a lot of times what people are doing is they write way too much in the email. There's too much content, and they focus on putting too much content directly in the email. So this is a really great way of just kind of quickly scanning your email, saying delete most of it and send it. That leads me into how to build effective campaigns. So when you're building an email or building a campaign to send out to people, here are some things that you really want to focus on. 5 things that I would really recommend taking a look at every single time you send an email. Number 1, always the number 1 issue is the subject line. It's the most important area of an email. You have to have a compelling subject line that draws the users in, and that's going to actually make it so that they click on it. Number 2 is the preview content. So most of us are now looking at our phones for our emails, and even in Outlook and Hotmail and Gmail and all those other systems that are online that people use for email, there's always some preview text. And a lot of businesses don't take this into account. They don't make it important. And a lot of us skim those emails based on that preview content. So make sure that's filled out and just as compelling as your subject line. Your subject line can be short, and then your preview content can be a little bit longer with a little bit more information. You can personalize it as well. You can put people's names in it, things like that, to really draw those people in. Number 3 is providing rich emails. I don't want to open an email and just see a huge blurb of text. I'm not going to read it. It's going to be difficult for me to read, and I'm just going to click out of it, and I'm not going to actually do anything with it. Using images, even if they're stock photos, can help break up text and provide context to what you're actually doing. Using headings, using buttons. You can use tools like Canva as well to create value, to create more value in the images that you've used. Number 4 is links and CTAs. So make sure there's always a next logical step. If I've gone through the process of looking at your email, looking at the subject line and preview text, saying, okay, great, I'm going to go into that email, I'm going to take a look, I'm going to read through it, and then there's no clear next step, I'm going to figure out my own next step, which is to leave and not have anything to do with that email. So you want to have that next step right in front of them, and that's buttons that say, click here for more information, click here to see this product, all those different pieces. Large buttons, arrows, text that says click here, all very important and will help drive people to actually click on those and consume that content wherever you have it. Number 5 is providing tailored content. Don't send content to a person that's not going to be interested in it. It's going to lead to a lot lower open rates. It's going to lead to people unsubscribing from your email list, and you really want to make sure that the content that you're sending out to those individual people is engaging and is related to what they've interacted with your business about. And I'm going to show you how we can take care of that in a slightly automated fashion. So I also want to talk about connecting with your users, because I think a lot of businesses place an importance on gathering email addresses, but then not doing anything with those email addresses. So connecting with your users once you have those email addresses is really important. It's important not to squander what you've worked hard to produce, is what I put in that first line. So as an example of that, here, this is a bakery. They have an email subscription that they've asked people to sign up for at a farmer's market. So I think of like the Wolf Island Bakery at the farmer's market downtown Kingston. So these users likely did this for a promotion. Maybe I gave them 10% off or something like that, or they're a free baked good if they signed up. But they're also interested. They've also been there and been part of that product, that farmer's market. So let's go ahead and try to promote that further. So we created an email campaign specifically for that event, so that as people signed up over the next 4 weeks, they receive a weekly email that's tailored to that event and the next steps. So it's content about the bakery, it's content about where we're going to be, it's content about, the cinnamon buns that we're going to have for the next time that we're at the farmer's market, things like that. The whole goal of that campaign is to get users to our website to check out the additional products and services that we offer. And we're going to track who clicks on those links in our emails, and then as they do that, we're going to get them out of that first campaign and roll them in a new campaign specifically for that product or service. So like I said, maybe in all 4 of the emails, we're promoting our cinnamon buns that you can buy and have delivered to your door. If they click on that, then we'll remove them from that first campaign and add them to a cinnamon buns, buy them online only campaign and run emails on that specific topic. What we would do for this is we would set it all automatically to automatically move the user from one place to another once they do that click. And I'm going to show you how to do that directly within MailChimp. So the last kind of topic that I want to talk about is reporting and analytics as well as automation. So this is a quote from Carl Pearson that says, "That which is measured improves." The other quote that's really important here, okay, I have two people saying they can't hear the audio. Is anybody else, are people still able to hear me? If you can, just put your hand up in the chat window. Yeah, I have a lot of people saying that they're able to hear the audio. And on my side, the system is saying that it can hear me. So, okay, thanks everybody. So the second quote that I want to throw out there is, to get the right message to the right person at the right time, you first need to get the right data into the right database at the right time. So another quote that's really focused on data. And when it comes to email marketing, it comes to Facebook marketing, it comes to any marketing nowadays, it's all about data and analytics and reporting and understanding all those pieces. And that's helping us automate and deliver tailored content. So automation and reporting obviously become very important. And this is where things get a little bit more tough for a lot of small business owners. There's a lot of people that look at automation and reporting and say, I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to do this. And it seems very complicated, and it can get very complicated very quickly. So that's why I'm going to focus quite a bit of the demo on the automation component of MailChimp and show you how you can make that really easy for you and start to move that forward. So tracking your email campaigns, reporting, automating, and sending out additional emails is now becoming a standard practice for email marketing. It's also included in many of the free email tools, so it's no longer an expensive piece of software that's only available to large businesses. Reporting is the key piece here. A lot of people use Google Analytics, they use other reporting systems to track their users and see what's going on, how people are using their website, how people are using their Facebook ads. All of that is very important. So with reporting in email, it's exactly the same thing. You want to know how many people open your email. You want to know if you've increased open rates. You want to know if people have clicked on things in emails, what they've clicked on, how soon after they opened it they clicked on it, all those different pieces. And we also want to know if those emails led directly to sales as well. So if you sell online with e-commerce tools, you're able to actually directly correlate an email to a particular product, and that particular product being sold, you can actually measure the return on investment of that email going out and how much money has been brought in because people clicked on something in there and bought a product. So lots of ways to report and track how people are using your emails. In addition to that, there's automation. So drip campaigns, think of it like a leaky faucet that automatically tailor content based on purchases, content clicked in previous emails, and even when it's their birthday. It can help show a more personal connection through emails and consistently deliver content to that user in their email inbox that's specific to them, that's tailored to them, and that's consistent, that continuously brings people back to your brand. So I'm going to start one more poll here. People can go ahead and take a look at. I'm going to close the other two as well. The previous poll that I put in was asking about CASL compliance. Looked like everybody answered that correctly. You are allowed to track email and track how people use it. It's not, CASL doesn't shut that down for you. So you definitely can do that. So the current poll is: a prospect has shown interest in your product by clicking on an ad on Facebook and signing up for your email list. What is a good next interaction to set up with them? So a lot of people are answering, send them a welcome email with a coupon code. That's a great, that is a really good way of doing that. Typically, a lot of times you'll see that set up right on people's websites. The other three options: enroll them in an email drip campaign, give them a phone call, and send a direct email, ask them why they joined. They're all potentially good answers depending on why they signed up for your mailing list and what product you're selling. If you're selling an enterprise grade software system, you probably don't need to send them a coupon code. You probably want to use a phone call to follow up with them and see if you can schedule a demo, something like that. Enrolling them in an email drip campaign can get them more interested in the product, especially if that first Facebook ad that you're running is more of a just general information about your product or service, and you want to provide more information to them automatically. Sending a direct email, again, it can look like a direct email, but it can also be automated to look like a direct email. Ask them why they joined. That works a lot of times as well. You'll see that with a lot of software services as well, people asking those questions. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the MailChimp demo. As some of you already know, we have a fictitious company called Berry Clothing, and we have a MailChimp account for them. I'm just going to double check that you are able to see that. Perfect. So don't worry about the pink bar here at the top. I tried to send an email to myself yesterday in this account, and it got flagged for a violation. That's because it's a demo account, so I totally understand why that's happening. That won't happen to you. Just ignore that. MailChimp is a really great tool for a lot of small businesses, and it is a completely free tool to use. There is a paid platform, of course. They need to make money somehow. So as you start to get more users and need a few more features, they're going to start charging you. Moving from the free plan to the first paid plan to get you into a few more features and a few more users is $10 a month. So it's not a bank breaker by any means. So it is a really great platform for that. The entire system in MailChimp is all done within a browser window here. So you can use Safari, you can use Chrome, you can use Firefox, whatever you want to go in and create emails, send them out to your lists, as well as create all the different pieces that are needed for it. I'm going to go through a bunch of the kind of basic features of it. If you are not familiar with MailChimp, this is going to give you a really good insight. If you are familiar with MailChimp, I'm going to go through some of the more advanced kind of automation pieces that you may not be familiar with at this point. So to get started, I'm just going to give a general overview of what the account looks like. So along the top, we have a menu with campaigns, templates, lists, and reports. We're going to go through kind of each of those areas. Over on the right-hand side, I have my name with my account, help icon, and a search icon we can search through. On this home screen, it's going to give you some insights into what's going on within your account. We don't really use this account, so there's not a lot going on. Obviously, we have one existing subscriber, which is myself, and we don't have any e-commerce performance or anything like that. But this will slowly start to give you more information as you use it for your account. The first thing that we want to talk about, though, is the lists. So a list is the people that are on your mailing list. You can create multiple lists within MailChimp, but typically I don't recommend creating multiple lists unless you absolutely have to. The main reason why is because a list can be broken down into groups and segments. And I'll explain what those two are as we go through. So I have this list here, which is Berry Clothing, which is just my main subscribers. And I can go in and I can see who's subscribed to it. So I have my own email address there, my first name, my last name, my birth date. I have interested in what type of clothing, so boys and men, and email marketing is subscribed. Where they came from right now is unknown, and contact rating. There's lots of different information here as well. Within MailChimp, you can include additional fields here. So if you want to include more information about a particular person, such as company name or phone number or something like that, you can include that and actually include that directly in the sign-up forms for that user. Along the top here, I'll show you the sign-up forms real quick. So this list has a bunch of different sign-up forms that can be created and embedded or sent out or put in different places. So you'll see they kind of have 4 or 5 main options here. First one is just a form builder. So you build, design, and translate your sign-up forms, and then it gives you an embedded code that you can then put onto your website. Same thing here with the embedded forms. You can generate that HTML code and embed it on your site or your blog. You can also design a pop-up that you can then embed on your site, and it will actually just do all that pop-up piece for you. And then depending on your site tools, there's different integrations that they can set up with different plugins and things like that. At the bottom, there's two options. So Facebook, you can actually add it directly into your Facebook page. So you can say newsletter as a tab, and when people go to it, they can sign up directly on your Facebook business page. And then on the other side here is tablet form. You can create a sign up for your store or at events with a tablet. So we've used this before on an iPad. People say, I want to sign up for your mailing list. We hand them a tablet. They type their information in. It uses an app on the tablet. Go back to my list here. I'm just going to show a few other things. So right now I have this grouping of interested in clothing types. So I know that if I want to send out an email to this person, I'm going to send out this email because they're interested in men and boys clothing. I'm not going to send them an email with information about dresses or women's clothing because I know they're not interested in that. To get this, I've created a group. So we can go into manage contacts and look at groups. And you can add as many groups as you want. I've created this group called interested in clothing types. And it's a checkbox type of group. Under edit, you can change the name of it if you want. And I can say view groups. Within that, I have 4 different options. So I have boys, girls, men, and women clothing. And you can easily add contacts into those. You can import, you can send a particular email directly from here to that particular area. You can also segment users. The difference between groups and segments is groups is information that's been provided to you. Segments is a calculated or more analytical approach. So I can say, I want to create a segment of users that have been added during a particular time or a particular event, and that have an interest in this particular type of clothing. So you can calculate that out. You can say contacts that match any of the following conditions. I can say all of the following conditions, and instead say their birthday month is April. And I can say as well, I want them to have interested in boys or men clothing. One of those. So this segment is going to have nobody in it because my birthday is not in April. It's not even in here as April. So it says goose egg, no contacts match, but you could create another segment very easily to do that. So that's allowing you to segment and group all the people in one list together. The reason why you want to have one list is, say, for example, you do want to send out an email and you're going to send it out to 3 different lists. People will then end up getting 3 emails if they're on each of those 3 lists. So you don't want your list to be segments or groupings of users. You want to use that segment and group tool within the list piece itself. So we've created a list. We have our subscribers. We even have some groups and some segments that we want to apply. Now we need to send an email to these people. So we're going to set up a campaign. Up in the top left, we'll click on campaigns. And you'll see I've already created a few different campaigns here. This is the one that I tried to send out and there's a compliance issue with. But basically, we want to try to create a new campaign here. So up in the top right, we're going to click on Create Campaign. And what's really great about MailChimp is it's all kind of drag and drop, click, and it takes you through each step. So it's really easy for non-technical people to go through and build emails that look great. So we're going to say we're going to create an email. We're going to create a regular type email. We'll come back to some of these in a minute. And we're just going to call this our test email. Once we've created that campaign, it's going to start to ask us about some information that we want to include in this campaign. So the first one is, who are we sending it to? So we're going to add some recipients. This is where you choose your list. So we have Berry Clothing, and we can segment this list, all subscribers on the list, but we can also say we want a group or new segment. There's also some pre-built segments for us. So new subscribers, and we can set the date, male, female, under 35, recent customers, things like that. At the same time, you can select a group or a new segment as you like. So we can say new segment, any of the people that meet these criteria. So if they're interested in clothing types of boys and men, one of those, this is going to create a grouping for us. At the bottom, we're also going to see this personalize the to field. We're going to check that off, and we're going to ask them to use the first name and the last name to personalize that to field, so that when the email comes through, it doesn't just say to that email address, it says to Max Sadlowski at that email address. This is important if you are capturing the first name and last name of the person in your list. If you're not capturing that in your list, then you won't be able to use that tag. So up top here, it's telling me what we've done. We're going to send this custom segment in Berry Clothing 1 recipients. I can just open that up and it'll actually tell me who those recipients are. So you can always scan that list and say, yes, this makes sense, or no, there's something wrong here. I've messed something up and I need to go back and change those settings. It's also telling me that our to field is going to be personalized, so we're ready to go there. And we see a little green check mark here on the left-hand side. So next we're going to say, who's this email coming from? Typically, this is the same information, but you might want to put in Berry Clothing instead, or the name of your business, and the email address that you're sending it from. The first time you do this, you will need to verify this email address that you're using. So if you change that, you may need to make sure that it is an email address that MailChimp knows you own. So again, we're checked off here for the to and from. We're going to add a subject line. So again, this is where your subject and your preview text comes into play. You can put all sorts of information in here. The subject line is 150 characters and preview text is 150 characters as well. I don't typically recommend filling out the full 150 characters. Keep it light, keep it useful for people. I'm just going to put subject line in here as an example, and I'm going to put preview text in here as an example. You can also add emojis to subject lines. Keep in mind that those do display differently across different browsers as well. So I'll save that there. And then under content, this is where you're getting into the meat and potatoes of the actual email that you're going to send out. So you're going to click on design email. I'm not going to go through everything with the design of the email. I'll quickly talk about templates, themes, and how you can kind of click and drag, but I'm not going to go through the whole process of creating an email. So here there's a bunch of layouts that you can choose from, different types, different examples that they have, make an announcement, sell products. You can also save templates. So this is a save dress template that we have built in. You can also copy from previous campaigns. So if you sent a previous campaign and you know that that email worked really well, you can go in and grab that exact same campaign and bring it in. As an example, we're just going to pull up this sell products as a layout. And it's going to load that up for us. As you can see, as I hover over everything, I'm kind of getting these little boxes. And when you set up a new account, it'll give you some kind of these messages to show you how to actually use these tools. But you can change and you can add a logo, you can change the text in here, you can do a full edit of however you want that to show up, and you can add different items to it. So say you want a footer, you want a divider, you want more images, you can put another image in and it'll drag and drop that in. You can upload images. It takes care of all of that for you. Once you have your email designed and ready to go, there's a few things up here that are going to be helpful. One is the ability to save as a template. So as you build the email, you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to use this more than once. You can save this as a template right from when you're creating it, and you can tell MailChimp what you want it to be called, and you can save it. So I'm going to save that as sell products. The other thing that you can do is preview and test these emails. So that's another really important piece and something that I really highly recommend because there's nothing more challenging or more difficult for you as a marketer is when you send an email and then realize there's a bunch of spelling mistakes in it. So first thing that you can do is you can enter preview mode. And what this does is it shows you what that email is going to look like on desktop as well as mobile. You can also enable live merge tags. So if there is somebody that's being pulled in, so for example, myself here, you can see who that person is, and you can see how that's impacting the actual email. So if we had put those merge tags into the email, I would be able to see my name there. So that's one way of previewing it. The other option is to send a test email. So you can click on that and send it to whoever you'd like, and they can give you feedback on it. You can push it to your mobile device and look at it on an actual mobile device. And one of my favorite options is the link checker. Link checker goes through and actually preloads any of the links that are on your site and shows you what those links are going to be and if they're the right links or not. So it's really easy to make sure that everything that has a link that should have a button or should link out to something has the right link, and you can actually see what those are. So once you're ready, you can say save as close, save and close. It's not going to let me actually schedule this because it's telling me that there's some default content in our email. We didn't change everything, obviously. So it's catching that information. You can send a test email directly from here as well, just by clicking send a test email. Once it's all set up and ready to go, you're going to have two options here at the top, schedule and send. Send is going to send it out immediately. And you get this kind of interesting little monkey finger that presses a send button. For schedule, it allows you to schedule when you want that email to go out. So what that means is what's really nice is, say you want an email to go out at 7 o'clock in the morning, tomorrow morning, you can schedule that today and it'll automatically send at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So it doesn't mean you have to get up early and add in that information and make sure you remember to do that. So that is setting up a campaign. Hopefully that's fairly straightforward for getting through all those different pieces. Like I said, I do want to focus a little bit more on the automation piece and the reporting piece. For reporting, I'm actually going to jump into our Bento account real quick and just show you what that looks like, because we don't have any good reports within the Berry Clothing account. So this is our reporting tab within the BentoSMB MailChimp account. And you can see we have a chart here of all of the different emails that we've sent out, our open rate, our industry average, and our click-through rate as well. So how many people are opening our emails and how many are clicking and what they're doing in those different emails. You can see all that information down here as well. So we'll go into this one here, branding contest, and we can see information about how many recipients we had. The subject line, we can go and look at that. This is where it would tag towards actual revenue that you would produce if somebody was buying something on your website. You can see specifically open rates, click-through rates, who opened it, and notice that those are actually clickable links. So you can actually see exactly who opened it, exactly who clicked on it, who bounced, who unsubscribed, the 24-hour performance of that particular email. Lots of different pieces of information here that you can be that can help you make decisions. You can also see which links have been clicked, so you're very easily able to see what people are actually clicking on and taking action on in your email. So that's the reporting piece. Like I said, there's a lot more in here in terms of links, social, e-commerce, conversations. All of these pieces lead to more kind of content for you to build. I'm just going to jump back into Berry Clothing here and we'll take a look at the automation. So in terms of automation, I'll probably wrap this up in about 5 minutes here. So automation is being able to send out campaigns based on the person doing something for you automatically. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a campaign, and instead of just choosing a blind email, we're going to choose email, and then we're going to choose automated. And this is where you can set up a lot of different types of automations. They have a few that are already connected for you or set up for you that are really easy. So for example, welcome new subscribers. You can send that out really quickly and set that up so that every time somebody subscribes to your email list, the first thing they get is an email right away that says, thank you very much. And this is where you can include your coupon code or something like that. So we're going to say welcome new subscribers, and you can put a welcome message. You can say which particular list you're going to send that out to, those kind of things. The other option is using what's called an onboarding series. So again, you can create this as a series of emails that send out over a period of time instead of just one single email. And I'm going to use that instead as an example. So I'm going to click on begin, and it's going to set this up for me and set up the different automations that I want. And you'll see right now that so far it's given me 5 emails that I'm going to send out to a user over a period of time. Now, right now, the way that this is set up, there's a trigger, there's a schedule, a segment, and an action for each of these emails. So this one is immediately after the subscribers join your list is when this email is going to get sent out. So this is a welcome to our community, here's 10% off, that kind of thing. You can say when it's going to go out. So I'm going to say every day, all day. I'm not going to segment my users at all. I'm going to send it to every single person that's added to my list. And at the end of it, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let that person stay in this list. The next email down says the trigger 1 day after subscribers are sent the previous email. I think 1 day is probably a little too soon, so I'm going to change that to 5 days later. And I'm going to update that trigger. So now instead of sending it the next day, it's going to wait 5 days and it's going to send that email out. Again, it's going to schedule it for every day, all day. It's going to segment to just regular users, every user that comes to this point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the schedule though, because I don't like that it's sending out maybe this email on a Sunday. So I'm going to say instead of every day, I only want it to send out on weekdays. And I only want it to send out between certain times. So I don't want it to send at 2 a.m. I want it to send between 7 o'clock a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. So now I have that set up, and that email is only going to send during that time. Even if this person signs up on Wednesday, 5 days later is Sunday, they'll get added to this, but it won't send them that email until Monday morning at 7 a.m. because that's the right time for that schedule. They get added to that list, and then it gets triggered once we get into that scheduled time. You can continue to add more triggers down below here. What's really neat about the triggers is it's not just 1 day after the subscription, it's lots of different options. So instead of saying previous email sent, we're going to say the previous email was not opened. So I'm going to wait 5 days, but I'm only going to send them that email if that previous one wasn't opened. Other options are the previous email was opened and the email was clicked. So they clicked on something, maybe they didn't click on something. I can have e-commerce, so once it's integrated, if they've purchased a product, if they've not purchased any product, if they've abandoned their cart within their store, campaign activity, so if they've opened a particular other campaign that I've sent out, if they've not clicked on campaign, there's lots of different options here when it comes to triggering these emails. Once you're ready to design the emails, you click on the little design email here at the end, and you can easily design that email to however you'd like using whatever template that you have already. You can copy campaigns in however you want. It's exactly the same system of creating that email that we just looked at during the other campaign prep. Once this is all ready to go, at the bottom you click on next, and it'll take you to the finalization, and essentially you have to turn on these workflows. So right now, it's not going to allow me to do that because there's a bunch of things that are not set up properly. But once they were all set up properly, I could click on Start Workflow, and it would automatically start to create those emails and send them out for those people as they get added to my list. So that's the demo that I wanted to show for MailChimp. And I'm just going to open my slides up here again. I'm also going to highlight a few additional tools that I highly recommend. So we talked about Canva. Canva is a really great tool for everything related to marketing. It's a free tool. It allows you to create graphics. You can import images and add text to them and add other graphs and other pieces to them to set up really great little graphics. What's really interesting with Canva is you're able to upload outside images, so you can find stock photos that are free to use on other sites, import them into Canva, put some text over them, export them from Canva, and put them into the tool that you are using for email or for Facebook or for whatever you're using. The second option there is Subject Line Checker. It's a really great, easy tool. to test out your subject lines. It does a bunch of things like check to make sure you're not using spammy words. It checks it against industry giants to make sure that you're not using the same email subject lines as other people. Lots of different things that it checks in there, and it gives you a score. So you're able to really easily see if it thinks your email subject line is good or bad. The last one at the bottom there is Email Monks. So there's some great resources and examples of great emails on their website. There's even a code template that you can download, and you can check out their master template as well that you can download. The way that they do it is you have to provide their email address, and then they send you a link, and you can look at it from there. So now what I want to do is go into the question and answer period. So in your browser on the kind of right-hand side, you'll have a Q&A area. So go ahead and drop some questions in there, and I will answer them before the end of the webinar. I'm also going to release one other poll that people can answer as well. And the question there is, what are good ways of growing your list? Okay, so the first question that people had was why MailChimp over other options? The reason why we use MailChimp is because we found it's the easiest to use for a lot of small businesses. We've been using it for about a year and a half, 2 years now. So 2 years ago, there weren't as many options as there are now. If you're just starting out, there's definitely other options that are out there that you can use. A lot of them are paid though, right from the get-go. So it depends on what you want to be kind of doing in terms of how big your business is and what you need in terms of functionality. We also use HubSpot as our CRM for our client account management. So we're also looking at using their tools for email marketing also. So it really depends. I use MailChimp as an example because it shows off the kind of ability to automate emails fairly easily within their platform for new email users. Just jumping back to the poll. So what are good ways of growing your list? As somebody just said in the chat, Sarah, you said in the chat, all of those are really good options. So adding a sign up to your website, creating a landing page with a sign up, asking people to sign up in your store, as well as holding a contest. All of those are great options, and they all work really well at growing your list. What's interesting about almost all of these is they can all be done digitally, so they can all have those safety measures in place to make sure that you have the right tracking in place for that particular user. So I have a question here from Duarte. I run a association that has different target audiences, members versus general public. Should I still have just one list with different groups? I would say so, yes, that you would want to have different groups or segments within the single list, mainly because what will probably eventually happen is some of those general public people will move into that membership area. What it really boils down to, though, is will I ever be sending an email to both of those groups of people at the same time? And likely the answer is yes for members and general public. So you'd want to send it to one single list, but be able to segment and change out what content you send to each of those groups within that particular list. Lindsay has a great question about how large your list can be with a free option within MailChimp. Last time I checked, I believe the pricing options were that you could have up to 1,000 people. I'm just going to check on their website really, really quickly here. So the new business is, let's learn more here. Up to 2,000 subscribers and up to 12,000 emails per month is on their free plan. So if you're going to send, if say you get all the way up to the 2,000 subscribers, you can't send more than 6 emails per month to all 2,000 subscribers. For most small businesses, it's going to be pretty hard to get to that level, but it depends on how much you use the automations and some of the other tools. It also depends on if you're connected to e-commerce and if you're doing automated emails based on e-commerce. The next step up, which is the $10 per month, goes to unlimited emails per month, but a lower subscriber rate. So if you want, if you have 0 to 500 subscribers and you want unlimited emails, it's $10 a month. As you go up each tier, it becomes another $5 a month. So that initial 500 people goes $5 further up the list. All that information that I was just talking about, I just went to MailChimp.com, clicked on pricing at the top, and went into the different types of pricing that they have. So you can go through new business, growing business, and pro marketer, which are the additional fees for different pieces. All right, so if there aren't any other questions, then I'm going to end the webinar here. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and taking part. I hope this was provided some really great information. I know we went through a lot of stuff really quickly, so if there are things that you want further clarification on, feel free to reach out to myself or to RTO9, and make sure to check out the recording as well. You can step-by-step go through each of the pieces. We do have to cram a lot into an hour, so hopefully I didn't go too fast for everybody. But thank you for your time and have a great rest of your day.